Hello everyone and welcome back to Russell's Movie Reviews, the show where I review something that's supposed to be pretty good, maybe one of the best movies of all time, or a film that absolutely sucks and should remain in the depths of hell. Now last week we obviously discussed Elvis, released in 2022, which I thought was actually a really good interpretation of the king of rock and roll himself. Now we're going to turn to the flip side of that and discuss an action movie on a train. Yes, guys, we're going to be discussing Bullet Train, released on August 5th of 2022. And this is actually, as far as I can remember, I think this is actually the first request that I've gotten for a review and that I've actually, done. So, this movie was requested to me by a good friend of mine and a good friend of the channel, Dr. Element. So this one is for you. And yeah, so my introduction to this movie is that I was seeing trailers to this film, and me being me, usually when I'm seeing trailers for a new movie, I'm usually like, whatever. I usually don't really care for them. Um, and that kind of went the same for this one, where I'm like, okay, Brad Pitt, all right, and uh, kind of just same as usual. I was like, it looks alright, but I personally wouldn't really watch it. Then about a month or two ago, I am talking to again my friend Dr. Element. We were talking about something, and Bullet Train came up in conversation, and he said that he went to see it in the theater with some of our friends, and he said that he personally really enjoyed it, and he wanted me to discuss it at some point on the channel. So I was like, okay, I can see what I can do. And if you guys didn't check out my video from a few days ago, where I basically discussed everything that was going on between in the months of November and December, pretty much, you would know that that I had scheduled that I had planned that I would discuss Bullet Train in season 8, but obviously had to rework the schedule. So I was like, all right, along with Elvis, the two 2022 movies that I wanted to discuss. I'll move them to season 6, so I can at least end the year off by talking about these two, which were, besides Sonic the Hedgehog 2, technically my most anticipated films of the year, even though I wasn't really anticipating them that much before they came out. But yeah, so I was like, okay, let's just move Bullet Train up to season 6, and then I can figure out the rest of season 6 afterwards. And here we are. So, without any dawdling, let's get into the review itself. So this film was made with a budget of around $90 million. Domestically, it only made just over $100 million, and worldwide it made over about $240 million. So domestically, this film was a bit of a bomb, considering the fact that it only just made its budget back. But worldwide, it made a significant profit. So it wasn't an overall failure, but domestically, where where a film is most likely going to get its biggest audience, it kind of failed in that regard. So, I'll discuss more about this in a little bit. And this was directed by a guy named David Lettish, who I never really heard of before until I was doing research about it, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But needless to say, after seeing this film, stylistically, I'm interested to see some of his other work if he ever has directed anything else, because honestly, it really does seem like it is kind of like Baz Luhrmann, who directed the 2022 Elvis movie. I'm really interested to see this other guy's work, because it's obvious that he could tell a story, and if it's a story that he likes, he'll tell it well. So, um, you know, so I was interested. And surprisingly enough, this was actually based on a book called, I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was called Maria Bullet, or Maria Train, something like that. Which was, I think, actually a Japanese novel that actually during the production of this film got translated to English and was released in America right before the release of this film. So another based on book movie that I can take off the list. But yeah, let's go into the plot. So Ladybug, played by Brad Pitt, is an unlucky assassin who's determined to do his job peacefully after one too many gigs has gone off the rails. Fate, however, may have other plans, as his latest mission puts him on a collision course with lethal adversaries from around the globe, all with connected yet conflicting objectives on the world's fastest train. So, a pretty standard plot when you just read that out loud. It's basically, okay, this guy's getting on the train to do a mission. There's other guys that are trying to go after this one thing, and they are all somehow interconnected, and they will possibly fight at some point. Yeah, that seems simple until you actually watch the movie. I'll be honest, I thought that this would be a hour and a half kind of film. That kind of just seemed like it would breeze along real quick. Yeah, no. This is a 2-hour movie that seemed like it was 3 to 4 hours. Because, no joke, I'm sitting here watching the movie, and I'm like, shouldn't this film be, like, done right now? I checked the time. It's only 44 minutes into the goddamn movie. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be one of those, isn't it? So, yeah, I was in for a ride, as you would say. And surprisingly enough, you actually follow a lot of characters throughout this story. And obviously the main one that we focus on is Ladybug. But they're like, this is kind of like one of those ensemble cast kind of movies where it's like it kind of focuses on, it's not really like one specific character that you follow. It's like all of these characters. So why don't we go over them? So obviously we have Brad Pitt as Ladybug, who is besides being the poster boy for the movie, is kind of like our central character. We focus on a lot of characters, but this is the one that we kind of like follow from like the start of the mission and follow to the end of their mission, and kind of get like, we understand what he's doing. It's a very simple job. Get on this train, grab the briefcase, and get the fuck off. Simple as that. But obviously we have all these other characters that get on that are basically screwing him over. And, have different reasonings for it, but somehow all connect to one thing, which I'll talk about over the course of this review. And before I get to that, I want to mention, since this is a recent movie, even though you can watch it relatively easily, besides going out and buying it yourself, if you have a Netflix account, it is available on Netflix. But if you haven't watched this movie, major spoilers will be coming up in this review, since it is a fairly recent movie. Unlike the Elvis review, where it was really just, like the look over Elvis's life, where there was really nothing that like oh my god kind of like level. This movie is obviously like a not like a fiction story, so it can have those like big dramatic twists. So, like I said, fair warning, massive spoilers will be coming up in this review. So if you haven't seen it, stop the review now, go and watch it, and come back. If not, or if you've already seen it, let's continue. So, we have to continue on with the cast. We have Andrew Koji as the father, as he's credited. He does actually really well with the material he's given, and it's getting real. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on with the sun out today, but carry on. He does. The father does really good in this movie. We next have Joey King as Prince. She is kind of like the over. Well, to me at least, it seems like she was like the overarching, kind of like at least like the person that was screwing everything up for everyone else, even the father who she basically recruits. Um, trying to just get situated or get comfortable here. So like she screws over Ladybug, she screws over um, but basically everyone, every single person on the central cast, she fucks over with all of them to get what she wants, which isn't really clarified. Um, but it's kind of difficult to talk about certain characters without going into massive plot details. So I wanted to get these two out of the way because these two are obviously connected. Uh, except for Prince. No, Prince is connected to the father, but she has an overarching story which we'll get to later. But um, we actually open up not on Brad Pitt, surprisingly enough, but on the father who is in this hospital and who's looking over his kid. I think it's a boy, and uh, we don't know what happened. All we know is that he has uh the father's father walks in and asks has his condition gotten any better, and he replies like no, it's just I think they said it stayed the same, but I couldn't really tell if it's gotten worse since then. But he goes onto this train, and that's where we meet Brad Pitt's character, who is, like I said, doing this job and just wants to get it, just wants a clean, simple job, just like go in, grab the thing, get out. We then get introduced to, no, we get later introduced to Prince, who zaps the father with a taser and explains that the reason why the father's son is in hospital was because it's explained that the father's son had jumped off the roof. I think they said either the hospital or their apartment building, and they said that like he was in like critical condition, and we later figure out that I'm gonna keep on explaining it, but they later explained that that it was Prince who led him up to the roof and pushed him off of the roof, and I was like, "Fuck, man, that's sadistic." Like even for a girl like that, because she is technically meant to be like one of the younger characters of the story, and I'm like, even for a girl that young, that's still fucked up. And then after that, we get introduced to Tangerine and Lemon, who are played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry, respectively. They are, for lack of a better term, our comic relief of the film. And okay, so I'm trying to talk about this without bursting out laughing because this caught me so off guard, and it is a running joke throughout the entire movie. But these two characters are trying to these two characters are assigned to take this guy back to his father alive, along with this briefcase that they supposedly carry, which is obviously the thing that Brad Pitt is trying to go for. So he takes it, and when them two realize that, okay, someone stole the briefcase, they're like, okay, we have to hunt this guy down and murder him. But yeah, so they encountered this guy, and it's just like them like talking about, we're here to like take you back alive, and then like spurting off, kind of jokes and stuff. And out of fucking nowhere, and this probably is not like out of nowhere if you guys like watch it and you guys may interpret it differently. But for me, out of fucking nowhere, Lemon starts going on this monologue about this little show they used to watch called Thomas the Tank Engine, and how every single episode had this kind of like moral code to it, and he, if that wasn't like funny enough, this motherfucker carries around a sticker sheet of all these Thomas characters and starts naming off or starts describing every single character. Like, okay, Gordon, he's kind of the prick, and but he's not as big as a prick as Diesel. And it's like, what the fuck did this become? I thought that I was watching like a serious action movie where these guys are all trying to go for this briefcase, but now all of a sudden it's turned into this fucking satire of Thomas the Tank Engine. And like I said, this isn't the only time that this joke is brought up. It's mentioned throughout pretty much the entire movie. And I'm like, look, I'm not saying that comic relief is bad. I mean, it can be bad for certain movies, but overall, I think that if it works well within a certain movie, it works. But while this is funny, this came right the fuck out of nowhere, and I was just like, I was more distracted of like, why the fuck are they making Thomas the Tank Engine jokes in an R-rated movie? Because yes, this movie is R-rated, and it's gory as fuck. And yet this like, it just seems kind of funny that you would cut to like these epic fight scenes where blood is shown and they're like beating the fuck out of each other, and then like the next scene they're talking about, oh yeah, like what character are you? Are you Edward or you're Percy? I'm like, what the fuck? So, yeah. And so, yeah. And then we get introduced to all these like minor characters, because all the ones I mentioned up to this point are like, we follow them pretty much throughout the entire movie. And then we get introduced to like kind of these brief little characters like Wolf, who like was like, I think he's like a Mexican hitman working for the Mexican mafia, and he got married, and then legit on this like at the wedding, everyone, including his wife, was dying, like just started dying from this disease, I guess, that was inflicted on the weddings, and he wasn't affected by it. So he was like, okay, who killed him? Like, who killed my wife? And it led him to the train, and then he has this fight scene with Ladybug, which eventually leads to the Wolf's death by his own knife. And then we get introduced to the Hornet, who I think, I'm trying to remember, because like I said, there's so many characters in this movie. Besides the ones that you follow, it's kind of difficult to kind of like understand like where they're coming from or like what their backstory is. So I think the Hornet was like a hitman for like a certain group that was then assigned to go and recover this suitcase or this briefcase, and is eventually killed by the same because she's carrying around this kind of like needle with the same kind of infection that killed everyone at the Wolf's wedding, and his like including his wife. So she's swinging it around like a knife, and then she finally stabs him with it. But the twist is that was the antidote. No. She stabs him with it, but she doesn't like push it in, so it's just like a puncture. And then he just like quickly takes it out and stabs her with it, and then injects her with it. And then she tried to play like, I guess she thought that he injected her with the antidote. So she has like a second needle, stabs him with it, and like injects him with it. And he's like, "Ow, fuck!" And then you see like her eyes like just turn like red, like because of the blood. And then like she starts like bleeding blood, or like crying blood. And he's like, "Oh shit, you just injected yourself with the thing you're trying to kill me with." And then he's like, wait, you must have injected me with the Like, I love Brad Pitt's character just because he's a total fucking dumbass for the entire movie. And one of the running jokes about his character is that he's like, oh, I never forget a face like that. And yet, constantly throughout the entire movie, he's like, who are you? And he does that with pretty much almost everybody throughout the movie. I think he does that with Wolf. He certainly does that with Lemon and Tangerine. I think he does that with the Hornet as well, and I think he even does it to the father and Prince. So it was like pretty much every single character he thinks that he recognizes, but then he's like, "Wait, who are you?" So it's like this film can be funny, and it is. It's just like it kind of just seems like it conflicted a bit with the action kind of portion of the movie, which isn't necessarily bad, but I mean there are certainly worse examples of that, of those, like those two kind of styles conflicting and not melding well. But it just seemed like this film was about to go to it, but didn't cross the line. It was like there were a few scenes that were like, this didn't really work out, but it never really crossed the line where it's like, okay, this blending is shit. But yeah, then we still get introduced to like a couple more side characters after the Hornet, and then we finally actually, like, every single passenger is off the train except for like everyone who's trying to go for this briefcase. So we eventually start seeing because obviously Ladybug has killed both killed in quotations Wolf and the Hornet. Then I think at this point Prince has killed, or no, she made Lemon shoot the father, and we thought to believe he was dead, and then Lemon was drugged technically by Ladybug because he brought this like sleeping powder, this like little tiny vial of it, and dumped it into this Fuji water. So he starts drinking it, and then he passes out. And then we're led to believe that Prince killed him because she grabs the revolver off of him and just like shoots him a couple times and then walks away. So we were like, oh shit, he's dead. And then we have this emotional scene with Tangerine where he finds his corpse in the bathroom along with the father, and there's just like this again running joke besides the Thomas joke. It's kind of like a running joke that they both established that they're brothers, which I'm like, okay, do they just do that? Like, do they just say that because they worked so many times in the field that they just refer to them as that? Like they gotten like so close to like as friends through like because of the field that they start like referring to each other as brothers. No, because when Tangerine finds Lemon's corpse, we get a flashback, and it is revealed that they were actually brothers it seems like ever since childbirth. So I was like, okay, well, who was the father? Because obviously Tangerine is white and yet Lemon is black, so like who's the father? And then like who'd be the mother? Because it just seems like that was a bit like okay, cool, like flashback to actually kind of establish that they actually were brothers. But then that just brings up questions like, again, like who's the father, who's the mother, why are both of them different races and not like the same race? Like, why aren't they both black, or why aren't they both white? Like I'm not saying that like racial discrimination, like, you know, that's great that they actually established that, you know, you can have a white brother or a black brother, that's fine. It just seems like, you know, maybe showing the parents, that might have actually cleared things up a bit, because that just brought up so many questions. I was just like, wait, what? Okay, whatever. That works. And then Tangerine finds Prince after, I think, after, we didn't know, because they encounter each other on a car, and then Tangerine notices that she has a diesel sticker on the back of her, and obviously, you know, if we've been following the plot, we would have realized that, you know, Lemon put that sticker on her because she was, you know, like she was the diesel, and then Tangerine figured this out. So he's about to kill her, and then she goes, behind you, and Ladybug's just standing there like, oh, you son of a, and they start fighting, and then it ends with like Ladybug shooting Tangerine, even though he was technically holding the gun, but you get what I mean. And it's not like, because it's set up that it was a headshot, but when you cut back into the car, it grazed his neck, and he's bleeding out of his neck, and it's like he's choking on the blood, and he's like, it hurt, and he's like, what? And it's like, it's hurt, and it's like, what? And then he's like, ugh, and he fucking dies. So then it's just Ladybug and Prince. And I think, well, yeah, because then the father, which I think it's revealed that he has a name, but honestly, I do not fucking remember what that guy's name is. So the father of the father, comes onto the train and he sits like basically the seats across him, and he's like, "Yo, can you move?" And like they have this brief exchange, and then once Prince leaves to go to like a different car, the father starts explaining the story about his connection to the White Death, which has been like an underlying kind of thing throughout the movie, where people like characters. I think it's actually. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Tangerine and Lemon who are the first people in the film to actually mention the White Death, and then it gets brought up by Prince, and then like several other characters throughout. As you know, as Ladybug is trying to figure out the story. And then we get up to this point where it's revealed that the father of the father worked for the clan that we've been seeing throughout the film, was killed by the White Death. And we see that how him and his son escaped after his wife died during the attack. And then, we finally get introduced to the White Death, and oh my god, so. The White Death's been this like underlying, like I said, he's been like this underlying kind of thing throughout the movie, and I was saying like, oh, you don't want to fuck with the White Death, and then like, for example, I think, like Tangerine is like, oh, like whatever, like over the course of the movie, he's just like, I don't give a flying fuck what you want, mate. I just want to get this fucking briefcase and get the fuck out of here. And, we get but we finally get to the kind of like one of the last stops, and we finally get introduced to the White Death, and it's Michael Shannon. And if you guys aren't superhero fans within the last decade or two, he was the guy who played General Zod in Man of Steel. So I legit see his face, and all I can think of is, I will find him. That's just all that was ringing through my fucking head. But yep, it's Michael Shannon as the White Death, and we hear him kind of like talking, and this is okay. This is why I was mentioning about major spoilers, since this is a new movie. This is like the big kind of like moment in the film in terms of the plot. So again, if you guys haven't seen it, stop watching the review right now and go and watch it, because I don't want to be ruining the plot for you if you haven't seen it. So go and watch it right now. And for anyone who has seen the movie or just doesn't care, the White Death explains that everything that happened with every single character in the film all leads back to the night that his wife died, because that was like this underlying tone that like that his wife was killed, and then he just went on this like murderous rampage, killing all these like gangs and stuff. But it's all explained in one of the final scenes, or where Ladybug delivers him the actual briefcase that we saw Prince actually wire up to explode whoever opens it. And there was like so many close calls throughout the film, and as you know, the White Death is explaining. We see these like kind of these two goons like joking around, like why do we have to always open the fucking briefcase? Like, what if it just explodes in our face? And it's like, just open the goddamn case, you pussy. So as they're doing that shtick, we get, as I said, White Death explains it all and says that basically everything that all these characters did throughout the film that we got through backstory all interlinks with the White Death, where basically because, for example, Tangerine and Lemon, we got a backstory about them. We get the scene where they're kind of like chopping up all these people, like these body limbs. In that scene, it's explained that the people that they're chopping up is like a faction of the White Death's gang that they were chopping up, and that's why he had them kind of go onto the train so that he can kill them, and then the kind of like to get, and so that's why he kind of forced his son, which was the guy that they were trying to protect, into the situation that he was in, so that they could rescue him and deliver him, so that he can kill them himself. And that's why he obviously had his son murdered, which, yeah, spoilers, the son dies. Like, if anyone really cared about him. But yeah, so that's why he had him murdered, so that there wasn't really an excuse that they could get off. And, you know, several, like, things. Surprisingly enough, he doesn't mention why Ladybug was involved with the story. I think it was more just accidental that he was involved. But basically, every single character that we've seen throughout the story, besides Ladybug and the father, I think, were all interconnected with the White Death, including Prince, who we figure out is the daughter to the White Death. So not only did he have a son, he also had a daughter that was trying to kill him. Yeah, this child is pretty fucked up. She explains that he wasn't really there for her when she was a child, so that's why she went on this train and just to fucking murder him. And you know, like I said, besides you know, Brad Pitt and the father, I think are the only ones that are mentioned that are not mentioned in his story, or in his big explanation scene. And because I think they were more of just like, because like I said, it was the prince who killed or who injured the father's son, and then yeah, like the Ladybug was just doing a mission that he just got interconnected with all of it, because it was just like a because I think the briefcase has like $10 million of like ransom money, I think. And so yeah, but yeah, obviously the two goons open up the briefcase, the thing explodes, and then we get like the last like 10-15 minutes of the film in this train car where after, as you know, White Death and Prince are talking to each other, we kind of get like intercut with Ladybug taking the father of the father to the bathroom where the father of the father can see his son like for like the final time, and he's still alive considering the fact that he got a shot to like the stomach, and Lemon is still alive because he apparently had a bulletproof vest, even though it seemed like she shot him like a couple times in the chest and then in the head, unless that was just me. But yeah, so we technically still have four principal characters as our heroes still alive, versus the White Death in total as a whole, and then we have kind of Prince on our own, and we have basically the father, and then the father of the father, in one carriage fighting the White Death himself, and then we have Ladybug and Lemon fighting off some of the goons at the front of the train, so they can figure out how to slow it down, since Lemon started up to kind of get away from them, and he doesn't know how to figure it out to stop it because all the text is in Japanese. So as they're trying to figure it out, we have the sword fight between between the two characters, ironically with swords, and basically it ends up to Lemon sacrifices himself to kind of push one of these guards out of the train as it's going over a bridge, and they both hit the lake, and then it basically leads up to the bullet train crashing, and basically Ladybug kind of like stumbles out, and then we have the White Death kind of like approaching to him, and he's like, because it was explained that when Ladybug did the emergency brake, as it was cutting in between that and like the White Death trying doing his is a Russian roulette sort of thing with a revolver, and I think it was either the father throwing the Fuji water bottle at his face, or well, I think it was a mixture of that along with Ladybug hitting the emergency brakes that caused him to like stumble and then misfire. So he's sitting there in front of Ladybug with a revolver, and he's like, click, 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 click. And he's like, what the fuck? Click, 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 click. And he's like, fuck. And he throws the revolver away, and he picks up the gun that we saw Prince trying to like threaten his father with. And if you obviously been paying attention, but this was a kind of a small plot detail, is that when she was wiring up the suitcase, it was revealed that she tied the father's gun with these like little like kind of like beads, which signified that she had wired the gun. So if someone pulled the trigger, it would basically blow up in the face. So once you see the gun that the White Death pulls out, you're like, oh, is that? And it fucking click. Half of his face gets blown off, and he fucking dies. And then, we're like, yay, the film's finally over. And yet Prince is still fucking alive with this big-ass machine gun. And then Ladybug's trying to talk her down, like, why don't we just, like, talk this out? Like, just be civilized fucking people. And she's like, I already tried that. And it didn't fucking work out. And then she's about to shoot him. And then a fucking lorry hits him. And he was like, fucking Christ. And, again, this is the spoiler section, really, of the film. It is revealed during the credits that it was Lemon who, because he survived the jump from the bridge, picked up like one of the machine guns that fell into the river, shot the guy that was chasing him, found this kind of like truck that ironically enough was carrying tangerines, and then was driving it, saw Prince, and then just rammed her. So I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of nice. But yeah, so the father and the father of the father, they kind of walk their separate way, and then Brad Pitt's kind of just sitting there, and then we see this car pull up, and then, so we've been hearing this woman talking to Brad Pitt kind of throughout the film as his, like, operator. And her character's name is Marina. So we've been hearing this Marina girl throughout the entire movie talking to Brad Pitt. And this girl gets out of the car, turns around, and it's Sandra fucking Bullock. What a twist that fucking was. I was not expecting Sandra Bullock to be in this film, because honestly, the thing I recognize her the most from is Demolition Man, which actually wasn't that bad, according unless you listen to some other people. But yeah, I was like, wait, Sandra Bullock's in oh, actually, wait. I totally forgot that, but before we end off this review, and, I forgot to mention that during the, the White Death's explanation, we were, like I said, he's talking about how everyone was interconnected, but he never figured out who was the guy who hit him. And he refers to this guy as Carver. So that's the guy who hit his wife and caused her to die, Carver. And he thinks that Brad Pitt's character, Ladybug, is Carver. And he's explaining this, and I think either during that explanation or right before he pulls the gun, his revolver on Ladybug, Ladybug reveals that no, I'm Ladybug. I'm not the one who hit your wife. And we get a shot of the guy who hit the White Death's wife in the car, and he pulls off the fucking mask, and it's Ryan fucking Reynolds. Yeah, a one-time cameo by Ryan Reynolds for one shot. That's it. I'm like, the fuck is Ryan Reynolds doing here? And then it just cuts, and we never see him again. And during that scene where Sandra Bullock pulls up, I swear to God, I thought that I saw another person in the car, like in the passenger seat, and I thought that was Carver. And I was like, is he gonna come out? Is Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock gonna come out and like start talking to Ladybug? And I was like, but that didn't happen. But yeah, and then they as legit as they're walking up to the car, like, okay, but let's get out of here. A fucking light post falls on the car and basically just caves in the roof, and then they walk off, and then that's where the movie ends. So yeah, the music. Let's go into like the final few things. Obviously, fun facts, music, and then we'll go into my final rating. So the music was composed by a guy named Dominic Lewis, and the music overall was good. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but it was good. But it's certainly not something that I would listen to on repeat viewing. But in terms of how it works in the movie, it works well. So yeah. And then 2 fun facts: Brad Pitt did about 95% of his own stunts in the film. So basically, like, all the fight scenes, all like him like flipping around, like whenever he gets like flipped over to like someone's shoulder and he lands on the ground, that was Brad Pitt, I think. And basically, like, he does like pretty much all of his stunts and all of his fight scenes. So kudos to him. And then this was the thing I was talking about earlier with David Lettish, and how I wasn't gonna really talk about I didn't really talk about his career that much, and this was kind of why. So apparently, both director David Lettish and Brad Pitt have worked for many years together. Let's see if I can try and bring some more light out. But yeah, they apparently been working together for years. With I think Lettish did stunt work for him for like Mr. and Mrs. Smith and stuff like that. But he apparently was this was the thing that caught my eye the most. He was apparently Pitt's stunt double for Fight Club. Yeah, David Fincher, masterpiece. Yeah, he was Fincher. No, not Fincher. Lettish was Pitt's stunt double for that movie, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess that kind of links, one of the greatest movies of all time to, one of the greatest movies of all time to, another Brad Pitt production. I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah. So, final thoughts on Bullet Train. I really, really liked it. I went into this film not really expecting much. I was just thought just to at least come out with this film being okay. But surprisingly, I thought it was really good. And I am willing on rewatching this film at least a couple more times in my life. When that would be, I don't really know. Probably not anytime soon. But I'm glad that I watched it. And, I am willing on, watching it again at some point. But yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed my review of Bullet Train. Sorry about the light, 'cause it's getting dark in my room because the sun is just being a bitch. But I think it might be fine now. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, guys. See if that works. Yeah, that works fine. Alright. Anyway, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed my review of Bullet Train. If you like this sort of content, stay tuned. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. You can also click right here on my channel profile, or click down on my username down there to also check out more content on my channel. I mostly do movie reviews, but I also do some like reaction stuff, and I plan on getting into gaming, hopefully at some point. And also do some other stuff like tier ranking and shit like that. And you can also check out my social media pages, my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter. That's when you guys get notified when future videos are coming out. And just, general life stuff, really. And also follow me on my Letterboxd page, because that's when you guys get like first-hand knowledge on when a review's coming up and you guys want to figure out my opinions early. That's when I usually post them on Letterboxd, so follow me on there. That's also in the description. Follow me on my Twitch page because I do some live streaming every once in a while on there. Follow me on there. And if you guys want to support my channel that extra bit more, you can follow me on my Throne page and follow and possibly purchase a gift. It's not mandatory, obviously, but if you guys want to get it, if you guys want to support my channel a little bit more and get a shout out, in one of these parts of the video, you gladly do that. But again, it's not mandatory. And one more thing before I end off this review is that in my latest video, and I made a community post about this last night, I am kind of struggling to how to end off season 6 because spoilers for a good chunk of the rest of the season, I'll be discussing every single Spider-Man movie that has been released since 2002. So yes, we're going to be talking about the Sam Raimi trilogy, the Andrew Garfield duology, the Tom Holland trilogy, and Into the Spider-Verse over the next few weeks. There will be regular Saturday releases, so basically one review per week. And I have figured out I think one more review after that, which will be on the 1992 cult classic Split Second. And obviously episode 150 will be on Chappie, but I'm still trying to figure out what to do for episodes 148 and 149. So if you guys have any suggestions for movies that I could possibly discuss, leave your suggestions down in the comments down below. But I will not be discussing the Emoji Movie because, needless to say, I fucking hate that movie, and it would honestly just be like a 5-minute review of just me saying this movie's shit, don't watch it. And if you want a more in-depth explanation, go and watch my latest video. That would be up on the end card right here. But yeah. So, yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for next Saturday, where I'll be starting off my Spider-Man marathon. And stay tuned. And also, again, leave your suggestions in the comments down below for movies you guys want me to discuss for season 6, and I see if I can try and see which suggestions work out or not. And one thing, besides the Emoji Movie, I am willing on accepting any requests. It just depends on when I can discuss them. So, for example, I think someone posted on my community post, someone wanted me to discuss the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. I would like to discuss that, but the thing is, I don't know, at this current moment, I don't know how to watch it. Because I think the only anime streaming service that I have right now is Funimation. Actually, no, I think it's... Well, actually, no, I think it is Funimation now that I'm thinking about it. Let me check real quick. Yeah, so I only have Funimation, so I don't know if the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie is on there. But if it is, leave a comment down below explaining that I'm wrong. But like that's something I'm willing on discussing. It's just like I don't know when I can do it. So that is I will take that suggestion. I will do it at some point. I just don't know if I will be able to do it for season 6. So yeah, so if I don't do a suggestion that you guys do, that doesn't mean that I just flat out refuse to unless it's something like the Emoji Movie, then yes, I will flat out refuse it. But 99% of the time, if you guys suggest a movie, I will see how I can work it out into the schedule for the seasons. It just depends on if it's available that I can if it's available in my collection or available on some streaming service that I have that I can relatively and easily watch. But yeah, I always take I pretty much take 99% of my 99% of requests, and I will do them. Again, it just depends on how easily I can do it. So, but yeah, post your suggestions down in the comments section of this video, and stay tuned for next Saturday for my review on Spider-Man from 2002. Live long and prosper. Out.